Okay, so in modeling, there's a few things we want to avoid, and I'm going to show you how to fix them here in a second. So the first one would be non-manifold geometry. Non-manifold geometry is when a polygon is coming out of another edge. So in this example, if you were to extrude this edge right here, this would be considered non-manifold geometry. And why is that? Is because in nature this doesn't happen. A polygon is infinitely thin. It cannot have zero, you cannot have a surface with another shape coming out of it that's infinitely thin. So you need to have some thickness to your object. So instead of doing an extrusion from one line, what you could do if you need a surface like that, like if this was the neck of your character and you want to extrude a color, you would not just extrude one polygon. You would have to give it some thickness, so it's not illegal geometry. So what you should do instead is add a cut like this and then extrude the face. So your polygon has some thickness to it. So this would be legal geometry and not illegal. The other form of non-manifold geometry is reverse faces. So if you look, this face is showing me black in here. This polygon is facing the wrong way compared to the other ones. So the gray side is looking down. That is the way the normal or the visible side of the polygon is aiming. So this one is reverse. So the fix for this one is easy. You just select the polygon, go to mesh display and say reverse. Now the polygon is looking the same way than the other ones. Another problem you might run into, as you cut and create geometry, is creating n-gons. So n-gons is any polygon that has more than 4 sides. And at first they might be hard to find, but if you look, for example, in here, this polygon in here, it looks like a 4-sided polygon. But if you see, there's a point here or an edge coming to it that makes it more than 4-sided. So it is an n-gon, is 6-sided. So all you need to do to fix it is cut it so it becomes 4-sided instead of 6-sided. So I'm going to cut it here, and that's fixed. Sometimes polygons might be hard to find, or illegal geometry might be hard to find. So Maya has come up with a help tool here. It's called the cleanup window. So if you go into mesh and look all the way to the bottom, there's the cleanup window. You can open the option box, and in here there's 2 options. The first one is clean up matching polygons, and Maya will do its best to clean up illegal geometry. It might do a good job, it might not do a good job. I prefer to do it by hand because I find it creates polygons that I don't want. So instead of saying clean up matching polygons, I say select matching polygons, which will just select the polygons, show me where they are so they're not hiding. And then if you go down by the options, you can see in here there's an option to select faces with more than 4 sides, non-manifold geometry, and lamina faces. So lamina faces are faces that are sharing all sides, so there's one face right on top of another. So once you had those 3 options selected, 4 with select matching polygons, I should say faces with more than 4 sides, not 4-sided faces, faces with more than 4 sides, lamina faces, and non-manifold geometry, you can say clean up. Maya should select them on the object you have. And here is found something. I can't tell what it is. Is it a face on top of another? It might be an extrusion. No, it's not. If I go into vertex mode, maybe there's an extra vertex. There it is. So there's an extra vertex there that I might have had an edge here and deleted the edge and left the vertex. So if you ever have an edge that you want to delete and you don't want to leave the points behind, when you select it to delete it, you should click Control Delete on your keyboard. Because look, if I just hit delete and then I go into vertex mode, I see the vertex are left behind. So the line left the vertex behind, it didn't erase them. So what you need to do is when you delete an edge, you have to hold Control Delete, and that will get rid of the points too. So I have this point that's loose still here, You could just delete it. Sometimes if you zoom out and select your whole object, you can just hit the delete key on your keyboard, and I guess it's deleting the corners here too. But you can select an area here and delete the extra points. See, now that point is gone. So Maya knows if there's not two edges going through a point, it's not necessary. It's just part of the line. In this case, you know, the edges don't go across. That's why I deleted the corners. But in this case, Maya knows it needs this vertex because there's two lines crossing it, or two edges crossing it. If there's a point, a random point just on the middle of here, let me just put it here. And if I select all this, Maya knows it needs all these points. But this one just has one line going through it, so it's not really doing anything. So if you hit delete, that point's gone. Sometimes when you're modeling, you might have too many extrudes on one area, or you were extruding something and forgot about it because you had to go to the bathroom, somebody called you or something like that, or you know, you accidentally hit Control E more than once on some places, and you might not be able to see the extrusions. But then when you're modeling, you realize I'm trying to move an edge, and oh, what happened there? I forgot. I made an extrusion here. Now I have this mess here. How do I fix it? So the way to fix that is merging points that are close together. So that way you'll avoid lamina faces or faces right on top of each other. You can select all your geometry, or you can go into vertex. Vertex is usually the way I do it, but you can do it on face mode too. And you go into merge. So edit mesh, merge. And you pick the option box. This says how far away one point is looking to another point to merge. And if you just hit apply, you won't be able to tell if something happened here. So let's see if it merged the points. It did merge the points, so there's not an extra extrude here. I had another one here. I can't even remember where I did it, but it seems like they're gone now. So sometimes you can't tell that you merged something. But if, let's say I do an extrude here, another extrude here, and I forget about them, or I made a mistake and I hit Control E, the shortcut, too many times. The way to see if you're diminishing points or getting rid of those extra geometry that you don't really need is if you go to your modeling toolkit. When you select the surface, let me go into selection mode here and say vertex. It's telling me I have 132 points. And now if I go again to merge, and I see just when I opened it, it says I already got rid of 12 points. So that way you can tell, oh, my geometry didn't change, and I have less points, so that means it worked. You can increase the distance threshold. That means Maya will look farther away for points to merge. And if you notice you're losing geometry, you know, points are merging that you don't want to merge, you just have to decrease the threshold so Maya doesn't look this far away, you know, from one point to another to merge. Okay, so let's take this for example, this mesh. Let's say this is my model and it's finished, and I wanted to clean it up. I'm going to go to mesh, clean up, and I already have the selections in here. Faces with more than 4 sides, lamina faces, non-manifold geometry. I'm going to say clean up, and it should select anything that has problems on it. So if you don't see it, if you hit F, you know, you'll be able to see the problem areas. Or there might be problems on the back side too, so you can hit 4 and you'll be able to see all the geometry that's having problems when you select it. So I'm going to fix this. Like I see there's an angle in here, there's a few triangles, so we want to avoid triangles also. We want everything as much as possible to be 4-sided polygons. So the way to fix this geometry here, it would be to make these faces 4-sided. So right now I have an angle in here and a triangle here. So I can come with the knife and cut a loop around it. And it's not going to go all the way around because as soon as I have an end gun, Maya does not know how to cut it with the knife. So I'm going to come around, connect it, and complete the cut. Same over here. You just have to finish the cut by hand. Now that loop is complete. So now we gotta think, how am I going to get rid of these triangles here? You could erase the edges and then redraw the edges you want, or you can think of ways to get rid of the triangles and the n-gons. You know, this face over here is an n-gon. It's a 5-sided face, so you need to think, how can we get rid of it? So if you have a triangle and an n-gon or a 5-sided face on the other side, you know, they add up to an even number of edges. So we can just cut from here to the middle of the face here. Right click to complete the cut. Now these two faces are 4-sided, and this face over here is 4-sided. It looks like a triangle, but if I grab the vertex here, you can see it has 5 sides now. So I can arrange this so it looks a little more like a rib cage. Now we have a problem here. We have this face also has more than 4 sides, and we have a triangle here. So we could cut it here, or we could also collapse this edge, this one right here, and you can go edit mesh, collapse, or if you look at the symbol, that symbol is also over here, collapse, on the shelf, on the top shelf, collapse. Now this polygon is 4-sided, this is 4-sided. I think we're good. So all we have to do is just shape things a little bit. So I'm just gonna try to shape it here more like a rib cage. So we can do the same on the other side. We can just cut from corner, you know, and you might find different ways to get rid of n-gons, maybe better ways than this one, but this way works also. So just collapsing, hit things, moving points around, merging things. Now I just need this point over here, this one, gonna round it out a bit. Let's say I fix that. We'll run a cleanup again. So let's say mesh cleanup, and it's complaining about these faces here, and I don't know what's wrong with this. Is a vertex, loose vertex, so let's select it. Yeah, it looks like there's a loose vertex on the middle there, so I can just hit delete and that will be gone. So let's select our model again and say, so object mode, and go mesh cleanup. If nothing is selected, it means that everything is good. So that means you passed the clean geometry test. If you select your geometry and want to see if you have any triangles, there's not an option on cleanup for triangles, but you can come to cleanup and select 4-sided faces and uncheck faces with more than 4 sides, and these other 2 also, and we just want to select them. So it's gonna select everything that's 4-sided. So we say cleanup, and it should select anything. Now if you had triangles in here, anything that's not selected will not be a 4-sided face. So you can come to select on the top menu and reverse or inverse your selection. If anything's selected, you know it's a triangle. So I'm gonna hit 4 to make sure. So there's no triangles in here. So this mesh is ready to get UV'd or ready to be sent to sculpting. But first we would want the UVs for it.